Okay, this video is about rotations of points and shapes on the Cartesian plane. So the first thing you need to remember what a rotation is, a turn of about a fixed point called on the fixed point called the center of rotation. So generally in grade 7 we're going to use the origin as the center of rotation. We're going to move points and shapes around that, varying degrees. We're going to go either 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or 270 degrees in both directions, both clockwise and counterclockwise. So let's look at some important parts of this as we start here. So as a bit of review, there's the quadrants. So we've got quadrant 1 up here in the top right. We've got quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And also there I'm putting down what the signs for the coordinates are going to be. So if it's a quadrant 1, both are going to be positive. Quadrant 2, we're going to have a negative x and a positive y. Quadrant 3, they're both negative. Quadrant 4, positive x and a negative y. So we've got to remember that as the first step to what the signs are going to be. Okay, now if we're going to take, put a point here, we'll call that A. Now the coordinates of point A are 2 and 4. Okay, so as you see, positive, positive there in quadrant 1. Now if I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise, we're going to move from quadrant 1 down, clockwise of course goes this way. We're going to move down into quadrant 4. And so one way we can look at this, I showed two ways you can do this. One, I call this the hockey stick method. So I draw a line, straight lines down the x or the y axis, and then a straight line up to or down to wherever that point is. And now it makes it easy to visualize that we now need to move this 90 degrees. So if I look at this line right here and I want to move it 90 degrees clockwise, it's going to move down on top of the y axis now. So the shape and the length of it's going to stay the same. So it's still going to be 2, so it's now 2, and then it's still going to move 4. So then that point, A prime, is now here. And so let's say that I'm doing it 180 degrees. So I've still got my hockey stick drawn there, and I move this line 180 degrees. So now it's laying this way. So now it's 2 there, and then down 4. So we'll call that one double prime. And then let's say that I was doing it 170 degrees. So then I'm coming all the way around here. Okay, now it's going to be here up 2 and over 3. Sorry, over 4. So now it's going to be here. So that's a triple prime. That's fun. Okay, so now I get rid of those lines. So if I rotate each of these, this is where they would be. Now what I want to do to show this next point so we can just do it by the rule and not have to use the hockey stick method is we're going to do the coordinates for each of these. So the coordinates of A prime is now going to be 4 and 2. So it's 4 and a negative 2. Get rid of that. So over here for double prime, it's going to be negative 2, negative 4. And over here for triple prime, it's going to be negative 4, positive 2. All right, now if we look at these different numbers here, we notice that all of those coordinates have the same digits within them, just not always in the same order. So they're always 2 and 4, or 4 and 2. So with our original one here, the other 3 are some form depending on how much we rotated it. Get rid of that there. Okay, so now what we see from the rule here is we notice when it's 180 degrees, the numbers stay in the same order. But the signs are then changed to match the quadrant that it's in. So that one's pretty easy to remember. 180 degrees, keep the numbers the same in the coordinates, but then match the signs to the new quadrant that it's moved to. For 90 degrees, either direction, we notice this one is in quadrant 2 here is negative 4 and 2, and down in quadrant 4 it's 4 and negative 2. So they have switched from the original 2 and 4 to now be 4 and 2. And then once again, the signs match the quadrant that they are in. So those are the two rules you have to remember. Number 1, the signs of the new shape have to match within the coordinates have to match the quadrant that the point is in. And then number 2, if we move 90 degrees, the numbers in the x and the y position switch. If we move 180 degrees, the numbers in our coordinate stay the same. So those are the two things we have to remember. So let's do this one, but let's move it over here to show that it's just not coming out of there. So again, we are using the origin as our center of rotation. So let's put the point there, point D. Okay, so the coordinates for this one are -7 and 5. -7 and 5. So if I'm moving 90 degrees clockwise, that's this direction into quadrant 1. So I know the signs for quadrant 1 are positive, positive. Okay, if I'm going 90 degrees, I'm going to switch those. So automatically I know that it's 5 and 7, and then I check my signs, positive, positive, I leave it at 5 and 7. So I then go 5 and 7, and that point is here, D prime. Now to double check that, if I want to try the hockey stick thing, okay, I go down here to 7, and then up to 5. Okay, so if I move that hockey stick 90 degrees, so now that's laying on the y-axis, up to 7, over to 5. And so I know that I'm in the right spot. So I always like to use the hockey stick one to double check and make sure that I put the point in the right spot after I've located using the rules. So it's always good to double check and make sure we put it in the right spot. Let's try another one here, for example. What do we got down here? Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. So let's put a point down here. Z. Okay, so now the coordinates for this one, I'm at -4 and -3. If I'm going counterclockwise, I'm going this direction. And since I'm going 90 degrees, I'm going to switch the numbers in my coordinates. And now I have to make the signs match for the fourth quadrant, which is positive, negative. So now it becomes +3 and a -4. So now I'm at +3, -4 for Z prime. So again, to double check with my hockey stick, I come over, oops, I went too far, come over to 4, okay, and then down 3. So I'm going to go this way 90, so now I'm laying on here 4 and over 3. Perfect, once again. Okay, so always double checking to make sure I'm doing it right after I feel that I've done the correct rotation. So let's try another one. Oh, here we've got J. So J is going to go 180 degrees counterclockwise. So we're going this direction out of this quadrant. 180 is going to put me up into quadrant 2. Okay, so again, I'm going to find my coordinates, which are 6 and -3. And when I'm going 180 degrees, I leave the numbers the same. So I have 6 and 3. I just need to change my signs to match quadrant 2 this time, which is negative and a positive. So then I am now -6 and +3. So J prime is located right there. So again, to double check with my hockey stick, so I'm going to go here and here. So that's 6 and 3. If I rotate that around, it's going to be laying on this one. So it's going to be 6 and 3. Perfect. Once again, I was successful in that. How about one more? Nope, we don't have any more down there. Well, I just make up a new one right here. Let's do a whole different one. This one, rotate. We'll go counterclockwise this time. We'll put another C in there. So we'll put it right here. And that can be X. Okay, so we're going to go counterclockwise, which is going to go this direction. So we're back into quadrant 4. And I'm going to go 90 degrees. So again, my coordinates for this one are, I'm at -7 and -1. So since I'm going 90 degrees, I swap them. So now my coordinates are 1 and 7. And because I'm in quadrant 4, I've got to be a positive and a negative. So this would be +1, -7. So I'm going to go +1, -7. And that would be my X prime. Again, double check with the hockey stick. Down 90, down 7 over 1. Perfect. Okay, so that's how we do rotations of points. We're going to move on to shapes next video, but do some practice with that and be able to move points around in any direction around the Cartesian plane.